When you're trying to decide between 2018 BBCOR bats, we find it helpful to divide the BBCOR bats into categories. These go by price, but they also go by just pure structure of the bats. And we'll take you through a couple of those, more of an informative, BBCOR high school collegiate bat video. Helpful if you don't know a ton about BBCOR bats or how they're made. The first big section of baseball bats is often referred to as two-piece composite bats. That in BBCOR for 2018, that's basically what you can see in your screen right now. That goes from on the right-hand side, the Adidas AeroBurner two-piece composite bat, down here to the custom, or I guess the 918 Prime, which says Louisville there. The 918, the red one, is the custom version of that 1-2. It's right, our left. But every major bat manufacturer makes a two-piece composite bat. These are almost always the most expensive bats in their line. They're almost always the lightest swinging. They're definitely the ones with the biggest barrel, and they tend to feel the best in terms of mishits and hits. And so those are all sort of built similarly. Almost always you can see that there's some sort of connective piece between these bats. Slugger calls theirs the True 3. Easton calls theirs the Connection, used to call the CXN. DeMarini calls theirs the 3 Fusion. Rawlings uses a collar, so really it's sort of Quattro 4-piece bat. Adidas, do they have a name for this thing? It's they may have changed it this year. This is the recoil system, right? And then of course, DeMarini's is the 3 Fusion. I don't know what Mizuno's called. I don't know if they have a fancy name for it. But the idea is, again, two-piece composite bats. Most expensive tend to be the biggest barrel. The next section of bats is called, at least we refer to them as hybrid bats. I wish we had more on the wall here so you could see them. But notice that these hybrid bats, this is DeMarini's version of a hybrid bat, meaning that it has the same composite handle. Almost always, in most manufacturers use the same handle as they do in their composite line. So for example, if you look at these handles right here, these DeMarini handles and this connection piece, the 3 Fusion, those are literally the same exact handle that you'll find on the two-piece composite version. Now, of course, that's painted white, but it's the same. It literally is the same handle. The difference is, of course, in the hybrid bats. Hybrid bats are aluminum barrels. That tends to mean that the barrel's smaller, but it also tends to mean it's hot out of the wrapper. Tends to mean a little bit more of an end load on average. But these are, those are general rules, and there's, of course, always exceptions to those. Right in your screen here, we have DeMarini's, two of theirs, one of their end-loaded, they call it the Voodoo Insane end load, and they have the Voodoo Balance version. So they can sort of control swing weight. Mizuno has one, too, called the Covert. Easton has one called the Beast X Hybrid, which we don't have up there in the BBCOR space. And who did I miss? Slugger has one called the 718 Select. Axe has one called the Elite. Anyways, you get the idea. Most companies that make a two-piece composite bat also make a two-piece hybrid bat, and there are even some companies that make a hybrid bat that don't have a two-piece composite bat. The biggest section in BBCOR bats for 2018, and almost every year, honestly, is the single-piece aluminum bat. So, and I say that, we do have a Combat down there. The Combat is the one exception that's actually a single-piece composite bat. But other than that bat there at the very end of that line, those bats in there are all single-piece aluminum bats, which means just what they sound like. They're made of one piece of aluminum. Now, each of them tend to do something a little different to make their bat feel different and have a different balance point and swing weight. Some notable exceptions are like the Velo and the Solo 618. They actually use, and you can't see it with this image, but they use an extended composite end cap, which basically allows these bats to feel like they're really light, kind of give them that two-piece composite light swinging feel, but still be made out of aluminum, so they're less expensive. They last longer, meaning they're of course more durable, and tend to be obviously less expensive, which I think I already said that part. But the barrels aren't almost never are aluminum barrels as big as composite barrels. Like we've never quite seen that yet. But you can control the swing weight in these bats anyways. You'll notice Easton, for example, has 2 versions of their single-piece aluminum bat. They have a speed version and and there's the loaded version. They have a loaded version. Root American, not many people know them, but they also have a power version and a lighter version. Marucci, you know, has an F5. They have that Marucci. This is not the Cat 7. This is the Posey 28, but it's built just like the Cat 7. It just has, you know, it looks like a wood bat. You have Trinity bats. You have a Generation bat from Mizuno that's in there. The 518 from Slugger. Everybody tends to make one of these single-piece aluminum bats, including, you know, and then you have some real unique things like the ZCOR, the lock and load. This one has the ability to change, and we have another video of this. You know, you can change different swing weights of that bat just to give it a different feel. There's no way you could change it in the box. It's way too complicated. It would have to be like down in the dugout, you know, maybe between innings if you're good at it. So, all right, folks, that's a good overview of the 2018 line of bats in terms of how you categorize them and start to think about them before you pull the trigger. Do you want a two-piece composite? Do you want a two-piece hybrid? Or do you want a single-piece aluminum? If you can get to that point, at least you can start narrowing down the 30 or 40 2018 bats and start making a better decision. Hopefully that's helpful.